Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. Ernest Borgnine tells us about the actors he really didn't like. Ernest Borgnine was born in Borghino on January 24, 1917 in Hamden, Connecticut. He became one of Hollywood's longest-lasting, most talented, and most loved actors. His parents came from Italy, and Borgnine grew up in a working family where being tough, working hard, and never giving up were the most important things. His mum and dad split up when he was young, and his mother took him to Italy for a while before they came back to the United States. This trip to another country gave young Borgnine a rich understanding of different cultures and a deep knowledge of struggle and never giving up, things that would later show up in his movie acting. Before he started acting, Borgnine lived a life that was just as interesting as many of the characters he would later play in movies. When he was 18, he joined the United States Navy and served really well for more than 10 years, including all through World War II. His years wearing the Navy uniform made him into a man who was disciplined, loyal, and cared about his teammates. Borgnine often talked proudly about his time in the Navy, saying it gave him direction and a sense of what he was supposed to do in life. Even after he became a Hollywood star, he stayed close to the military, often showing up at Navy events, veteran get-togethers, and helping causes that honored soldiers and sailors. After he left the Navy, Borgnine found himself looking for a new path in life. He had never done anything with the arts before, but his mother suggested he try it because she thought he had a natural gift for expressing himself, so he signed up for acting classes. What started as just trying something new quickly became something he loved. He got better at his craft in theater, especially with stage work at the Barter Theatre in Virginia, before moving to Broadway and then to Hollywood. His tough, big build and unique gap-toothed smile made him someone you'd recognize right away. And he often got cast as a bad guy or tough guy in his early career. However, Borgnine proved he could do much more than just play those types of characters. His big break came in 1955 when he starred in the movie Marty, a sweet low-budget drama about a lonely Bronx butcher looking for love and trying to feel good about himself. Borgnine's heartfelt, not glamorous, and deeply human acting touched audiences and critics, earning him the Academy Award for Best Actor. That moment made his place in movie history solid, changing him from a dependable side character actor into a leading man whose depth and relatability could move millions of people. Throughout his long career, Borgnine showed an amazing ability to adapt to different types of movies and TV shows. He appeared in tough war films like From Here to Eternity in 1953, westerns like The Wild Bunch in 1969, and action-packed adventures like The Dirty Dozen in 1967. On television, he became famous in the 1960s with the comedy series McHale's Navy, where his playing of the lovable and mischievous Lieutenant Commander Quinton McHale made him loved by a new group of fans. Later in life, his unique booming voice introduced him to younger audiences when he did the voice of the character Mermaid Man on the cartoon series SpongeBob SquarePants. Even with all his success, Borgnine stayed down to earth, friendly, and generous in spirit. Known as a man with a big laugh and a sparkle in his eye, he never let being famous keep him away from regular people. He often took time to chat with fans, sign autographs, and share stories from his long and varied career. Hisco workers often praised him as not only a perfect professional, but also as a warm and encouraging person to have around on set. Ernest Borgnine's personal life was just as colourful and exciting as his legendary career, and one of the most talked about parts of his life was his series of marriages. Over his lifetime, Borgnine married 5 times, with each marriage showing different times in his personal and professional journey. His first marriage began in 1949, shortly after he came back from serving in the US Navy, where he had spent 10 years of his early adult life in military service during both peaceful times and World War II. During his Navy years, he met Rhoda Kemmons, a woman who was charmed by his warm personality and who supported his early change from a disciplined sailor into a man trying for a civilian career. Their marriage lasted for nearly 10 years from 1949 until 1958, and during that time they had a daughter, Nancy, born on May 28, 1952. Becoming a father was a deep moment for Borgnine, who often said that family was one of the most grounding forces in his life, despite the trouble that sometimes came with his personal relationships. However, as Borgnine's acting career began to take off in the 1950s, the pressures of Hollywood fame and the demands of being away from home took a toll on the marriage. Eventually, their union ended in divorce, though Borgnine remained dedicated to his role as a father to Nancy. His second marriage brought him into the world of international cinema and glamour. In 1959, he married the well-known Mexican actress Katy Gerard. It was in his fifth marriage, however, that Borgnine finally found lasting stability and happiness. On February 24, 1973, he married Norwegian-born businesswoman Tove Treisnes, who would become not only his partner in life, but also his steady supporter through the later decades of his career. Tove, who later achieved success as a cosmetics entrepreneur with her Tove brand, provided Borgnine with a sense of calm and balance that had often escaped him in earlier relationships. Their marriage lasted for nearly 4 decades, a remarkable achievement in Hollywood, and it remained strong until Borgnine's death in 2012. Friends and colleagues often remarked that with Tove, Borgnine had finally found the companion who could match his energy while also calming his explosiveness with patience and understanding. She was by his side during his final years, offering love, stability, and companionship, and their union is often remembered as the true anchor of Borgnine's personal life. Throughout his long and colorful career in Hollywood, Ernest Borgnine developed a reputation not only for his ability to play many different types of characters, but also for his honest, no-nonsense personality. He was the kind of man who would speak his mind without worrying too much about offending others. And this straightforwardness extended to the way he talked about some of his colleagues in the entertainment industry. Borgnine, who worked with hundreds of actors over more than 6 decades, sometimes formed deep and lasting friendships with his co-stars, but he was equally unafraid to admit when he could not stand someone. Over the years, in interviews and conversations, he occasionally revealed the names of actors he simply did not get along with, and in some cases, openly said that he hated working with them. One of the most notorious examples was his deep dislike for Frank Sinatra. Borgnine and Sinatra first met in the 1950s, at a time when Sinatra was changing from his role as a singer into a more serious dramatic actor. While Borgnine respected Sinatra's popularity and vocal talent, he often expressed disgust for what he saw as Sinatra's arrogance and dismissive behavior toward fellow performers. Borgnine told the story more than once about how Sinatra carried himself with a kind of smug superiority on set, often talking down to character actors and crew members. For Borgnine, who had come up the hard way through theatre and character roles, this kind of attitude was unbearable. He once said that Sinatra thought he was better than everyone else, and I couldn't stomach it. This bad feeling lasted for years, and though they occasionally crossed paths in Hollywood social circles, Borgnine never warmed to Sinatra and considered him one of the most unpleasant men he had ever worked alongside. Another person Borgnine spoke about with a surprising amount of hatred was John Wayne, one of the most legendary stars in American cinema. Borgnine admired Wayne's on-screen presence and understood his place as an icon of masculinity in film, but off-screen their personalities clashed. Borgnine felt that Wayne was domineering and often dismissive toward actors he considered beneath him in importance. Though they never had a violent fight, Borgnine described working with Wayne as walking on eggshells, since Wayne always had to be the center of attention, both on and off the set. Borgnine, who had a much more collaborative and down-to-earth approach to filmmaking, found Wayne's larger-than-life ego grating. While he admitted that Wayne could be charming at times, Borgnine never forgot the times when Wayne belittled directors or treated supporting actors poorly. It left a bitter taste, and in later years, Borgnine admitted that Wayne was not someone he enjoyed being around. Borgnine also made it no secret that he disliked Frank Sinatra's Rat Pack companion, Dean Martin, although his feelings toward Martin were not quite as poisonous as those toward Sinatra himself. Borgnine felt Martin coasted too much on his charm and easygoing public personality, and he thought Martin never really gave his all to acting. To Borgnine, who prided himself on hard work and total commitment to each role, Martin seemed lazy and not serious, more interested in the party life than the craft of performance. He once dismissed Martin by saying that he never took anything seriously, not even the work, and that always rubbed me wrong. Later in life, Borgnine admitted that his feuds with some actors were partly their sort of personality differences that could have been smoothed over with time. However, his dislike of Sinatra remained strong, even as both men grew older. When asked in an interview late in his career if there were any actors he truly hated, Borgnine laughed, but did not hesitate. "I'll tell you this much, there are some people in this business who thought they were kings. Frank Sinatra was one of them, and I never liked him. Not then, not now." In addition to naming big stars, Borgnine also expressed annoyance with certain television actors he considered arrogant or disrespectful to veteran performers. While he did not always reveal their names publicly, insiders have noted that Borgnine's distaste often extended to younger stars, who in his view had not paid their dues, but acted as if they knew everything. He particularly disliked performers who treated crew members poorly, since Borgnine himself always valued the behind-the-scenes workers who made productions possible. Despite these dislikes, Borgnine was equally open about the actors he loved and respected. He had glowing praise for people like Spencer Tracy, Bette Davis, and his McHale's Navy co-star Tim Conway, whom he adored for his kindness and professionalism. This contrast made Borgnine's criticisms even more striking, because when he said he hated someone, it was not out of jealousy or insecurity, but out of genuine distaste for arrogance, unprofessionalism, or cruelty on set. In the end, Ernest Borgnine's honesty about the actors he hated most became part of his lasting legend. Unlike many stars who preferred to keep Hollywood feuds under wraps, Borgnine was refreshingly honest. His willingness to name names, especially giants like Frank Sinatra and John Wayne, revealed the uncompromising and straightforward nature of a man who built his entire career on authenticity. He may not have gotten along with everyone, but Borgnine's honesty about his dislikes added another colorful dimension to the life of one of Hollywood's most unforgettable personalities. Borgnine was a heavy smoker until 1962. In a November 2008 interview, a then 91-year-old Borgnine was asked by Fox News morning host Steve Doocy to reveal the secret of his longevity, and he whispered into a live mic, "I masturbate a lot." At the age of 95, Borgnine died of kidney failure on July 8, 2012, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. He had had surgery a month before his death and had been to the hospital days before it for a medical checkup.